chakula itiende mtoro huyu, chakula itiende mtoro huyu, chakula itiende mtoro huyu, muliache chakula itiende mtoro huyu.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this press conference. It is a press conference about the deliberation and resolutions of the leadership of the Movement for Democratic Change concerning quite a number of issues. So the press conference is going to be addressed by our President, His Excellency, President Advocate Nelson Chamisa. So over to you, His Excellency. Here are members of the press for you to address them. I thank you.
Thank you, our Deputy National Chair, Honorable Job Scala, and just to say that with me here, colleagues from the press, I've got members of the leadership, the senior leadership in the party. As you can see, the Vice President, the Chair, the Deputies, the Treasurer General, the Secretary General, and all other senior officials in the party. We have just finished our day's meeting. We were deliberating, as is regular with our tradition. Every Tuesday we meet to reflect on developments in the country as a leadership, to look at the circumstances, examine the direction that the country is taking, the party is taking, and to be able to articulate a position of leadership and narrative trajectory to shape our country. Today was our regular day of meeting, but we took this opportunity to reflect on important events in the country. As you may know, and you may recall, the MDC was due to hold its important 20th anniversary on Saturday, the 14th of September 2019 at Rufaro Stadium here in Harare. This was a national event to commemorate and celebrate 2 decades of existence under our theme celebrating courage, growth, and the people's victory. It's clear that this day has now been on account of deliberations by the leadership and on a unanimous position by the leadership to postpone this day so that we set aside this weekend and the coming days for the day of national mourning, and in line with the national memorial that has been set aside by our nation as a gesture of not just nation building, but also making sure that we respect our principles of Ubuntu. As you know, we are MDC, a part of excellence. We do things that are consistent with our values of social democracy, values of Ubuntu, solidarity, and empathy. And we have decided to postpone this important anniversary to the 28th of September 2019, so as to allow the funeral proceedings and events not to compete with our anniversary celebrations. In fact, it is in line with our values of Ubuntu, solidarity, and empathetic leadership that you don't celebrate when your others are mourning. It is just an African. It is also not in line with our own values as a party. As a social democratic party, we are very clear that we had differences, political differences, with Mr. Mugabe, which differences are well recorded. Those differences with the late Mr. Mugabe are not supposed to be played up at this moment. This is not the time to rehash our differences. Yes, we have scars, some of which are visible on our faces, on our bodies, scars of the challenges that we faced on account of past commissions and omissions, but we will not allow bitterness to drive and move us. And this is the time for us to be in solidarity with the family and relatives of Mr. Mugabe as they mourn together with friends, including colleagues who are on the African continent, who are going to be coming to be with us. The MDC does not want to use Mugabe's death to score political points. We have avenues and platforms that are sufficient to address our huge challenges we are facing as a country. And we will use those platforms for appropriate engagement and not at Mugabe's funeral. As a social democratic party, we don't take our differences with our political competitors or adversaries to the grave and beyond death. Hate and hatred is not part of our agenda, and therefore the passing on of the former president, Robert Mugabe, should be a reminder to the leaders of today, tomorrow, and the future on how we must treat each other as Zimbabwe. The position we take today is not to wish away issues of justice, but to do with the issues of transitional justice, which we hope would have an appropriate time to reflect on. We as MDC would want to exhibit our role in making sure that we build our nation, we heal our nation, we unite our people, and we bring freedom and justice to every Zimbabwean who feels deprived of the same. This, for us, is an opportunity to reflect on the values of nation building, democracy, justice, tolerance, equality, freedom, and solidarity that are cut now in our democratic struggle. That, ladies and gentlemen, defines who we are as a social democratic party, but also as a people's party. And we are a people's leadership, because we are a people's leadership when people, some of the people, are in mourning. We are enjoined to be in mourning, all of us. We believe in solidarity, an injury to one, an injury to all. Indeed, an injury to those who feel bereaved because they've lost their loved one is also an injury to us. And of course, it is in that context that we have made the decision that we've so made as a leadership. I want to thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the statement delivered. If there are any members of the press who have got questions to ask and who want to seek clarifications, now is your time. Those who have got questions or clarifications.
And questions, not bones to chew?
Sure.
Just questions.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to find out, is the MDC going to attend the funeral of the former president?
Okay.
Over to you, Excellency.
Thank you very much. Who asked the question?
My name is Tendai Kamugira from the Daily News.
Oh, thank you, Tendai. Yes, we deliberated on a number of issues. Chief among them is the role that the MDC is going to play. We acknowledge the fact that we are the leading party. Yes, there's the ruling party, but we are the leading party in this country. Now, leadership is such that you must be exercising leadership in every aspect. And we've said after engagement, we are going to make sure that we accord the civility, the Africanness, and the humility and honor that has to be bestowed on a development of this nature. I understand there are heads of state that are going to be coming. It's only necessary for some of us to give them respect and honor. Opposition leaders from across the continent who may be coming, it would not be in good standing for us not to also provide the necessary leadership in the country. Yes, we have our differences with Mr. Mnangagwa that are well documented. This is not the opportunity to settle political points, even with Mr. Mnangagwa, whom we disagree with, because we are chalk and cheese. You know, we are night and day, but this is not the opportunity to define our differences. This is our opportunity to find common points of doing what is expected in our African tradition, to mourn the dead and to give them the dignity and honor, in as much as we do all those differences.
Thank you very much. Another question? If there is anybody who wants to ask a question? Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm here from Bukuta Zetland. I just want to ask if ZANU-PF blocks you, as it did at Oliver Mtuku's funeral, how will you feel?
Your Excellency,
I'll feel very good because I'm not the first one to be blocked by such rogue elements. But like I said, this is not the opportunity to settle political points. This is a national event. It's not a partisan event. It's not even a state event. It's national, meaning to say that it's all Zimbabweans. So we don't expect, but of course if that happens, that will be unfortunate. That will show you what we have not learned. And let Mr. Mugabe be a good teacher. He was a teacher in his life. Let him also be a good teacher even when he's not there, even in death, to teach us to understand that there are elements and activities, events that should unite us as a people so that we build a nation. You know, ZANU-PF cannot claim Mr. Mugabe because Mr. Mugabe was no longer a member of ZANU-PF. He was expelled. If anything, he had not yet fully joined the MDC, but he said supported and endorsed the MDC, particularly my candidature, as a viable alternative for the country. So we must honor that. You know, the fact that he publicly verbalized his endorsement is something that shows that he had ultimately realized that there is indeed an alternative that is going to keep this country stable, transformed, and modern.
Yes, sir.
My name is Abdul Karambo from Zimoni Post.
Zimot?
Zimoni Post.
Okay.
Is MDC going to wear party regalia on the barrier?
Well, clearly, this is not a party event. This is a national event. You know, people have to reflect on this development in the context of nation building. We are not there to score points politically. We are not going to be trying and show ourselves to be, more monarchs than the others, or more people who are believing than the others. This is an event to give honor to Mr. Mugabe. It's only necessary that we do that. Mind you, we say that he contributed positively and negatively. And let's be objective about the contributions. We will not emphasize the negative, but the opportunity to do so is with us, so that we are able to build on the negatives. We're able to then correct the mistakes, right the wrongs, and also negate the negatives that we have seen. It's all up to us, and we have the duty as people, as citizens, together to be able to move forward. So don't worry about this regalia. It's more important to mourn than to be putting on regalia. That's the most important thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. My name is Leo from newzealand.com. What is your message to those MDC supporters who lost relatives and friends to Robert Mugabe, who feel that the MDC leadership is being soft on the former president Robert Mugabe?
I don't know why you would call soft or hard, particularly on the dead. Do we look like we are foolish to want to revenge and focus on a dead Mugabe? We had opportunity to engage Mugabe when he was still alive, and we differed with him. We fought so hard, and we continue to fight so hard. As to our supporters and those, I'm one of them. All of us around the table have stories to tell. But we've said bitterness will not move nations forward. Revenge and anger cannot be pillars of building a society. We want to be better, and we can't continue to be bitter. Yes, we want justice in the circumstances of those who have died. But unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do to change the situation other than to learn from our mistakes so that we don't have a recurrence of those mistakes that have been made and of those transgressions that have been, caused upon the people of Zimbabwe. It requires leadership. But of course, yes, we are in solidarity with everyone, ourselves and those who have suffered at the hands of the past. But because we have suffered, we can't then continue to also drink from that cup of bitterness. Because the cup of bitterness will get the entire nation drunk and will not move together and forward as a country.
Yes, sir.
Constant Komo from newzimbabwe.com. It's more likely a follow-up from what he asked. Mugabe has gone and has left a very ugly past, and some of the issues that he has been raising in political gathering and political platforms like Gukura Undi, you have always tried to persuade him to apologize at least. Now, who is going to take responsibility in your view for that past? Now he has gone and nothing has been settled.
Yes, Mugabe is gone, but Zimbabwe is not gone. We have Zimbabwe, we are Zimbabweans. We need to be able to build our country together. Go to the past and say, how do we correct the injustices of the past? We can't just gloss over issues. We need to have a frank discourse. We need to have truth and justice. We need to have proper reconciliation on the basis of the truth. But that requires all of us together to put the truth on the table and to say, how do we heal our past wounds? How do we make sure that future wounds are not going to be incurred on account of omissions or commissions by any of the leaders? That's why I said there are lessons to be learned. And that's why I've said Mr. Mugabe is a teacher, both in life and in death. And we must be able to learn a lot of lessons about how to build a nation, how to progress a nation, and how to prosper a nation. And this is our opportunity to move forward, to close old chapters and new chapters being opened, close old pages and have new pages of transformation, new pages of peace, new pages of prosperity, and new pages of taking the entire nation forward. Yes, there are those who say you were supposed to be very hard. But why should you be hard on a man who is not there?
Yes. Okay. On your opinion, do you think Mr. Mugabe should be buried at the National Heroes Acre, or it is one option?
Well, my opinion doesn't matter. It's a family decision, and I'm sure where he's buried is their own decision. But clearly, we respect their family because we are Africans. Ultimately, the family takes precedence. Of course, in our dispensation, there are a lot of things that we'll have to look at in a new Zimbabwe to see that we give dignity and honor where it is due. But where it is not, it will not be given. So for now, it is the family, and we give that to the family. It has nothing to do with us. We are only going to be there in solidarity with the family as they mourn.
Yes, sir.
My name is Vijay considering the role that the MDC played in the ouster of Mugabe in 2017, what is it that you, as a comparative analysis, do you think we've progressed positively or we've progressed negatively? And the second element, what are your views in that comparative analysis as to whether the Mugabe regime had more respect for human rights or the Mnangagwa regime?
I'm sure I had indicated earlier on that this is not the platform to be doing that. But let me just say this. If this event had happened on the 19th of November, 2017, just after the ouster, maybe there would be celebration. But if you look and check around, the mood is somber. Why is it somber? People are having a sober reflection. People have learned, they are a lot wiser. They've learned that in terms of dispensations of leadership, we have had a change of faces, but not a change of the system. We have had a change of individuals, but not a change of the dispensation. So that is an important lesson that we have to reflect on. It's clear that those in authority have learned nothing and forgotten nothing about the past vices and transgressions. That has dawned on all of us as Zimbabweans. And we now have to have a sober reflection to say, apart from just changing individuals and faces, we need fundamental change structurally, we need fundamental transformation. And that is the debate amongst the people. Because Mr. Mnangagwa is clearly showing that he seems to have learned nothing and forgotten nothing about the past omissions and commissions. And that is the debate we must have as we go forward, particularly in the context of making sure that we democratize our country and we return to legitimacy and democracy. That is why we want national dialogue to resolve those issues. But I don't want to clutter issues. This is not the platform. The platform is to give Mr. Mugabe a decent send-off, a peaceful send-off, because African wood, Ubuntu wood, is dictating to us to do so as a social democratic party.
My very last brother, you were raising your hand, the very last person. Yes, my brother in the white shirt.
Well, just as a follow-up, Mr. President, to the issue of the Hero Saga, out of interest, would the MDC leadership attend should you be buried at the Hero Saga?
Well, we have a lot of interest, but you see, you don't have to know too much, you know. It's very good to have interest, but look, let's wait. It's important for us to be looking at a number of objective considerations. It's also the gesture from our colleagues in ZANU-PF. We don't want any political party to be monopolizing, something that is supposed to be national. If that were to be done, clearly that would send signals, and we will respond accordingly. I told you that we are the leading party in this country. In any event, Harare, where Mr. Mugabe last resided in, is under the MDC. Mr. Mnangagwa, who resides in Harare, is under the MDC. All the people in government, most of them reside in an MDC territory. So they are in our backyard. We respect that they are in our backyard. We must give them honor. Tenants must be respected and must be given the honor that is due to them. And we will continue to respect those tenants. We are the MDC. We are the city fathers and mothers in this jurisdiction. And we honor everyone, including our colleagues in ZANU-PF, in everything we do. It takes two to tango, and let's tango as we give honor to Mr. Mugabe for his contributions. Positive, we build on. Negative, we negate and learn lessons.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
Address you
Thank you guys for coming in.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you very much.